And speak loudly.
Prabhu was a saint. He was born on February 1486. He was a Bengali. He was born under name. That's why his name was Nahi. And she used to teach her personal mantra to the Nautipa village.
Very good. Very good. Okay, Subrat, you want to go?
Yeah.
Okay.
These are facts about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna, everybody. These are facts about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna and Radharani combined. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was born in Mayapur in the town of Nadi. And the year he came was 1486. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu disappeared in 1534. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after sannyasa, went to Jagannath Puri. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Kazi's friend. His father's name is Jagannath
Mishra.
His mother's name is Sashi Devi. The day when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared is celebrated as Gaur Purnima. Hare Krishna.
Very good.
Hari Bol.
Arjun, your turn. Anybody else here? Arjun, your turn.
I forgot.
Okay, Daddy help you. Wait.
Okay, Ani, you want to go?
Ani will also go. Aditya also will say something. Yeah, what is that? Why are you feeling shy? You shout so much when everybody is not listening. Everybody has to say, so just to remind them.
Go ahead, better. Whatever you know, okay, you don't have to.
It's okay, it's okay. Force नहीं करो.
Good job, Arjun. Come.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a form of Krishna. Mahaprabhu is a form of Krishna and Radha combined. And he came to our world to start Hare Krishna Kirtan.
Which mantra did you teach?
Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare
Say loudly, everybody can hear.
Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Eva Kevalam Kulu Nasteva, Nasteva, Nasteva Gurpiya Namta.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Shreya, you want to come? Adit, you have to. You have to.
Come on, Lord Chaitanya is a form. Hare Krishna, everybody. Lord Chaitanya is a form of Krishna. Chaitanya was born in Mayapur about 500 years ago on March 28. Krishna's best devotee was Srimati Radharani. Krishna wanted to remind other people of God, so he went to earth as Lord Chaitanya. The night that Chaitanya came to earth, there was an eclipse. During an eclipse, people in India would bathe in holy waters like the Ganga. Chaitanya saw that many people were not interested in spiritual things. People were more interested in things like money and family. Lord Chaitanya was feeling very sorry for them. Since he wanted everyone to have spiritual happiness, he created Sankirtan. In Sankirtan, Chaitanya and his friends and devotees would go to Shivasa's house and chant Krishna's holy names to bless him. The head of the village, called the Kazi, got angry at all the chanting. His police officers told everyone they were not allowed to sing and chant loudly anymore. Chaitanya decided to take all the devotees to a big Sankirtan party at Kazi's house. When they got to Kazi's house, he was scared because Nrsimhadev had come to see him and tell him to leave the devotees alone. The Kazi promised never to disturb the Sankirtan.
Very good. Okay, Molly, come on. Come here. Hare Krishna.
Is a big devotee of Krishna. He was born in 1896 in Calcutta, India. His favorite festival was the Rath Yatra. He liked the festival so much that he wanted his own cart. When his father looked for a cart, the carpenters asked for a high price. An old woman gave him a cart that wasn't a lot of money. He wrote the Srimad Bhagavatam. He wanted everyone to serve Krishna, so he started ISKCON. He went to New York on a ship to inform people to serve Krishna.
Very good. You are up after. Okay.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was born in Bengali Hindu family. Sri Chaitanya was the second son of Sati Devi. In his young age, Chaitanya was primarily known as an erudite scholar whose learning and skills in argumentation when traveling to Gaya to perform Shraddha ceremony for his father Chaitanya. Chaitanya met his guru. This meeting was a mark of changes, and upon return to Bengaluru, the local Vaishnavas, headed by Aditya Acharya, were stunned at his internal sudden change of heart, and soon Chaitanya became the eminent leader.
Very nice. Haribol.
Ansh?
Ansh, you are coming? Come on.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a Vaishnava Sikh. He was born 1486, Nadi, West Bengal, India. Died 1534. Birth name was Sharma. According to Chaitanya,
Stay help.
Chaitanya was born on the full moon night of February 18, 1486, at the time of Gangar sleep. Teachings. The statements of Ramayana scripture are the chief proof. By the statements, the following 9 topics are taught. Krishna is the supreme absolute truth.
Haribol.
Anybody else? Where are the kids? Bhavya?
Bhavya, you want to say Hare Krishna mantra? That's okay. Come on. Okay. ठीक.
Very nice. Let's give all the kids a nice round of applause. Very nice. Haribol. So we'll do some little bit of kirtan and then we can. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Karo More Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Karo More Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Karo More Shri Krishna Chaitanya Daya Karo More Tum bina ke dayalu Jagat samsare Tum bina ke dayalu Jagat samsare Patita pavana hetu Pavavatara Patita pavana hetu Pavavatara Patita pavana hetu Pavavatara Patita pavana Pavavatara महाप्रभु तमहि महाप्रभु नित्यानंद प्रेमानंद स्तुति महाप्रभु नित्यानंद प्रेमानंद स्तुति महाप्रभु नित्यानंद प्रेमानंद स्तुति महाप्रभु नित्यानंद प्रेमानंद स्तुति कृपा बोलो काना करो আমি বড় দুঃখী কৃপা করো কানা করো আমি বড় দুঃখী দয়া করো সীতাপতি অদ্বৈতা গোষ্ঠা দয়া করো সীতাপতি অদ্বৈতা গোষ্ঠা কৃপা বলে পায় চৈতন্য নিতাই তব কৃপা বলে পায় চৈতন্য নিতাই সনাতন রূপ রঘুনাথ মহাপ্রভু युग श्री जीवहा प्रभु लोकनाथ युग श्री जीवहा प्रभु लोकनाथ दया करो श्रियाचार्य प्रभु श्रीनिवास दया करो श्रियाचार्य प्रभु श्रीनिवास रामचंद्र संग मागे नरोत्तम दास रामचंद्र संग मागे नरोत्तम दास श्री कृष्ण जय परम करुणा पाऊ दुई जन निताय गौराचंद्र परम करुणा पाऊ दुई जन निताय गौराचंद्र परम करुणा पाऊ दुई जन निताय गौराचंद्र परम करुणा पाऊ दुई जना निताय गौरचंद्र सब अवतार सार शिरोमणि केवल आनंद कंद तार शिरोमणि केवल आनंद अवतार तार शिरोमणि केवल आनंद कंद Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Param Karuna, Pauri Nitai Gaura Chandra, Param Karuna, Pauri Nitai Gaura Chandra, Param Karuna, Pauri Nitai Gaura Chandra, Param Karuna, Pauri Nitai Gaura Chandra. So welcome you all to the Gaur Purnima celebration in Reading.
Haribol.
Reading congregation has grown to a point where we can have Gaur Purnima in Reading. I think maybe even a year back it was inconceivable, right? That we would have Gaur Purnima in Reading. So thank you for all your wonderful service. I'm nobody to thank you, but still. So today we will glorify Gauranga Mahaprabhu and speak a little bit about him. Some of the children have read some things from what they found on the internet and so on and so forth. So I think it's a good idea to discuss further on those points and make some. Just like always, if you have questions or just want to discuss further, please ask and we can, feel free to interject and add points or whatever else you'd like to do. So let's start with some prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya
Om Jnanatimirandhasya
Jnananjanashalakaya
Jnananjanashalakaya
Chakshurunmilitam Yena
Chakshurunmilitam Yena
Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha
Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha
Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam
Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam
Sthapitam Yena Bhutale
Sthapitam Yena Bhutale
Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam
Swayam Rupa Kadamayam
Dadati Swapadantikam
Tadati Swaparadikam
He Krishna Karuna Sindhu
He Krishna Karuna Sindhu
Dinabandhu Jagatpate
Dinabandhu Jagatpate
Gopesha Gopika Kanta
Gopesha Gopika Kanta
Radha Kanta Namostute
Radha Kanta Namostute
Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi
Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi
Radhe Vrindavaneshwari
Radhe Vrindavaneshwari
Rishabhanusute Devi
Rishabhanu Sute Devi
Pranamami Hari Priye
Pranamami Hari Priye
Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam
Panchatattvaakatam Krishnam
Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam
Bhakta Rupa Swarupam
Bhaktavataram Bhaktakhyam
Bhaktavataram Bhaktakhyam
Namami Bhakta Shaktikam
Namami Bhakta Shaktikam
Namo Mahavadanyaya
Namo Mahavadanyaya
Krishna Prema Pradayate
Krishna Prema Pradayate
Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya
Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya
Namne Gauratushe Namaha
Namine Gauratushe Namaha
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo Hare Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo Hare Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo Hare Ramo Ramo Hare Hare Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda
Jai Shri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda
Jai Dvaita Chandra Jai Gaur Bhakta Vrinda
Jai Chandra Jai Gaur Bhakta Vrinda
Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda
Jai Shri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda
Jai Dvaita Chandra Jai Gaur Bhakta Vrinda
Jai Chandra Jai Gaur Bhakta Vrinda
Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda
Jai Shri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda
Jai Dvaita Chandra Jai Gaur Bhakta Vrinda
Jai Chandra Jai Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
So I wanted to read one verse from Chaitanya Bhagavat. Lambita Bhujau Kanaka Vadatau Sankirtanaka Pitarau Kamala Yadakshau Vishwambarau Dijavarau Yugadharma Palau Vande Jagat Priyakarau Karuna Avatarau. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sri Nityananda Prabhu, whose arms extend down to their knees, who have golden complexions, and who are inaugurated the congregational chanting of the holy names of the Lord. Their eyes resemble the petals of a lotus flower. They are the maintainers of living entities, the best of the Brahmanas, the protectors of religious principles of the age, the benefactors of the universe, and they are the most merciful of all incarnations. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So, first question is, who should be the object of our worship? So when we see, yes, that is the correct answer, but it was a rhetorical question. So, so we all are familiar with Gopal, the deity of Gopal. Deity is on the left. On the right hand side is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Gauranga, and on the left is Nityananda Prabhu or Nityananda. So we are familiar with the deity of Krishna, but not so familiar with the deity of Gauranitai. Unless you are in the Gaudiya Sampradaya, you may not know who Gauranitai is. So before we glorify Mahaprabhu, the topic to understand is who should be the object of our worship. So, if you consider an example, and you see these two personalities standing there on the altar, very wonderfully dressed in bright red costumes and a crown and everything, and they have their hands raised like this in a dancing pose. You're not sure if they're dancing or they're signaling something or what they're doing. So it's somewhat unfamiliar, and we're not sure who those deities are. So our unfamiliarity may sometimes create a gap for us to perform worship. So let's consider an example where You may be a very famous or powerful person in a certain country. Let's say you may be the number one football player in America, maybe the Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl MVP, right? And your name and your pictures flashed in every newspaper and news channel in America. And everybody's thinking you're the best personality in the whole country. People are singing your praises. It happens, right? After any major sporting event. Or be it in India, everybody's so mad after cricket and other sports, right? So there may be some cricket star, I don't know who, but any name, take any name, right? ABC guy. His name may be plastered all over the country. He may be selling everything from undergarments to Coke and to Pepsi to whatever, right? Everything they sell. Now, those people might be known to everybody. It's not like nobody knows that person. Everybody knows that person. And why that person has power? First of all, first question, does that person have any power?
Popularity.
Yeah, popularity is the power, right? Meaning that if they say something, people will listen. That's power, right? If you're a popular personality, and if you were to call a news conference, do you think people will come and listen to what you have to say? If you're like if a celebrity calls a news conference, do you think people will come? Absolutely, right? They will be standing outside his house to figure out what he wants to say next. If you or I call a news conference, nobody will come because there's no popularity, there's no power. So popularity definitely has the power. So why are they having power?
They're expert in certain field.
They do something which other people think is valuable. Whether it's actually valuable or not is a different story, but perception is what matters, right? So if somebody suddenly stopped throwing balls and hoops, the world will still run. People will still eat. I don't think that world will stop. But there's a perceived power associated with that activity of sports or whatever, so they have a power. But that was not the prime purpose of the example. So I'm setting a scene here where you take a very, I don't know, give me a prominent person in India who everybody would know, in India would know.
Good.
Okay, maybe that guy or any sports guy. Maybe pick a sports guy who people in India would know but not anywhere else.
Tendulkar.
Okay, maybe that guy, Tendulkar, right? Everybody knows him in India apparently, right? He's selling everything from like undergarments to beverages and everything else, right? His picture is going to be plastered on newspapers and also on billboards and stuff like that. Now, is that person extremely popular in India? Yes or no? Yes.
Yeah.
So when people say we don't worship idols, we don't worship deities, what exactly are they doing? So the people who are considered as fans, that person's fans, do they have a personal relationship with that person?
No.
Have they ever met him?
Maybe.
No, but most
Yeah,
people
yeah,
I'm saying.
no.
Have they, I'm not saying met, I don't mean saw him from 100 yards away in a stadium. I mean met. Met meaning like how you and I are meeting.
No.
Have they met him? Do they know how he feels, how he thinks?
No.
Does the person who's so popular know how this person feels or thinks? Does he even know his name? No, right? But still, you are idolizing that person. You're putting him in a pedestal and worshipping pretty much everything that he does. You're listening to every word he has to say. That person comes out on a news conference, everybody wants to hear what he said, his opinion on various topics, whether it's relevant or not, everybody wants to hear. That's what is worship. That's exactly what worship is. So we may not agree that we are specifically worshipping. That's exactly what people do. That's exactly what is worship. So the problem is, we have this tendency to worship. In our heart, we have this tendency to serve. In America, you see people, the pet industry is so large. Because the tendency to serve exists. You want to serve a cat or a dog, and you undergo so much trouble. Right? And why people have cats and dogs? Relationships are easier to handle than people's relationships, right? because the expectations are very low. Cats and dogs don't have much expectation. If you come back and give them a glass of, fill their bowl with food and water, and take them for a walk, they're happy. They don't have emotional issues. So people relationships are much harder. So people find it much easier to deal with cats and dogs. And why they have cats and dogs? Because they feel the need for bonding. The need for bonding exists. So just because you don't want to deal with people, your need for bonding doesn't go away. The bonding exists, plus you also want to serve. So you serve a cat, your dog. So the tendency to worship, the tendency to serve is there in every one of us. The problem is, if you don't know who to worship, who to serve, then you will find different avenues for your natural instincts and just misuse your natural instincts. So whatever I'm saying is nothing new. I'm not saying something which is revolutionary or you haven't heard before. All of us have the inclination to serve. All of us have the inclination to have a relationship and a bonding. But without understanding who to have relationship with, it becomes very difficult to have relationship with the right person. So coming back to the example of the sports player from India who's so popular and so powerful. Now assume that that person happens to come to America. That same guy, Tendulkar, he comes to America. And he comes to Reading. Right? And if he goes to a mall in Reading, do you think people will run after him? No. Do you think people will be wondering, oh, this some Indian guy has come, so let's all run behind him and see what he has to say? He could go into a Macy's or a shop and he could pick stuff and then he go to the counter and the clerk would check him out without even looking at him twice, right? It's just some other Indian guy who's come. She's not going to think he's famous or powerful, or she's not going to be in awe of that person. Why? Do you know why?
She has no power. He has no power here.
Why?
Nobody
That's
knows
my
it.
question. Why? Does he lose all his ability to play whatever sport he plays?
No.
Not known.
Does it mean that he is no longer charming or the Shah Rukh Khan? Does it mean that he's no longer charming, or does it mean he's no longer able to play the sport that he plays? His abilities are the same. What is missing?
His abilities are no more relevant.
Awareness, like here, nobody.
He's not known.
He's not.
So what is missing?
Power, his popularity.
No, popularity is missing, but why is popularity missing is the question. Yes. Yeah, nobody knows him. So that means knowledge is missing.
Knowledge.
Huh?
Knowledge.
Bonding is fine, but why there is no bonding is the question.
Nobody knows him here.
Because there is no knowledge. The knowledge of his exploits is not available. It's not prevalent. Or not relevant. Either way, right? His knowledge, his abilities have not diminished. His abilities have not diminished. So whatever ability somebody had to hit a ball or catch a ball or throw a ball exists the same way. But just that, same way if somebody a football player from America goes to New Delhi or Bombay or someplace like that and walks around, he'll just be considered a big American guy, like big strong American guy. Other than that, nobody's going to consider him like the Super Bowl MVP or anything, because they don't even know what that is. Maybe now they know with all the TV and all that, but I would think they would probably not really recognize the names and the people and so on and so forth. So the ability, the power the person has, the only thing that's missing is knowledge, right? So similarly, if President Obama walks into some sub-Saharan Africa Bushman cave, or not cave, wherever they live, they'll just view him as another African guy who walks in there. They're not going to say, oh, he's President of America. Right? Because they don't know who he is, so the power the person wields is not changed. Only the knowledge is changed. Similarly, when we look at Gauranga Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, if you don't know who they are and what the influence they wield over us, it's our lack of knowledge that is covering our ability to understand that they're Krishna themselves. That is the point I wanted to make. So, today we're celebrating the appearance of Gauranga Mahaprabhu. So it's important to understand who Gauranga Mahaprabhu is, who he is. Some of the kids said that Krishna Chaitanya is a saint. Some even said he was, said various things. I wanted to make sure we understand who Mahaprabhu is and how we can, because unless we understand who he is, how will we worship the Lord? Right? How will we worship him? So it's important to understand who he is. So there's a verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam which I'll read. It says, Krishna Varnam Tusha Krishnam Sango Pangastra Parshadam Yagya Sankirtana Praya Yajanti Hi Sumedasa, which translates as, in the age of Kali, which is the current age we are in, intelligent men perform congregational chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead, who constantly sings the name of Krishna. Although his complexion is not blackish, he's golden, he is Krishna himself. He is accompanied by his associates, weapons, servants, and confidential companions. So Krishna Chaitanya, the Chaitanya Charitamrita says that Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nahi Anya. So Shri Krishna Chaitanya is none other than Radha and Krishna combined. Balaram Hoilo Nitai, and Balaram is Nityananda Prabhu. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, the two personalities on the right and the left, are Krishna and Balaram. So the easiest way to understand them is they're Krishna and Balaram. They are not incarnation of God, and they're God directly, they're Krishna directly. There was when somebody says, is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu an incarnation of God? Answer is no. He's Swayam Bhagavan, he's Krishna himself. He's not incarnation, he's not Shakti Avesh or anything, he's Krishna himself. And this point has been clarified many, many times by the Acharyas, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself, and not an incarnation. And so, why did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appear? He appeared roughly 525 years ago. So why did he come? What was the purpose of his appearance? And so the Shastras explain that there are two reasons for his appearance. One external, set of external reasons, a set of internal reasons. So we'll talk very, very briefly about those reasons and then talk about some very specific pastimes in the life of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which will be of very great interest to devotees. So, every yuga has a specific yuga avatar. So you have yuga avatar for the four yugas. You have Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga. Every yuga has a yuga dharma. And so the Shastras, Bhagavatam explains that the yuga dharma for the Satya Yuga, or the first yuga, is meditation. Kritya Dhate Vishnu. So in Krita Yuga, Satya Yuga, people had the ability to focus and chant, focus for and meditate for thousands of years, literally. Meditation that was recommended was thousands of years long. So you hear Shastra, you have so many examples in the Shastra where you have various devotees meditating for thousands of years. In different ages, you have different types of spiritual practices that are recommended. Just like in different countries, you have different types of clothes. In different seasons, you have different types of clothes. So, if I ask a question, is wearing a thick coat a good thing or a bad thing? Well, that question really has no meaning without understanding what the context is. Right? That if it's a very cold place, yes, you want to wear a thick coat, correct? If it's very cold, you want to wear a thick coat, right? But if it's very hot, would you want to wear a thick coat? No. So, what kind of coat you wear, what kind of clothes you wear depends on what kind of environment you're in. Similarly, what kind of spiritual process that you have to follow will depend on the environment and the ability of the people in that environment to practice that particular process. It's not an absolute question. It's a question based on time, place, and circumstances. So, in Satya Yuga, the process that was given is meditation. In the next Yuga, which is Treta Yuga, the process that is recommended for worshipping the Lord is performing big yagyas or sacrifices. People nowadays also perform sacrifices. They have priests or other people come into their home and perform fire sacrifices. Right? They have yagyas or havan, however they call it in the yagyas. They perform yagyas, right? You've seen, right? People do that. Now, there are very specific processes defined for how yajna has to be performed. The Vedic mantras have to be chanted in a very specific way. If you chant the mantras even slightly incorrectly, it can have completely the opposite effect of how the yajna is performed. So there's a very specific process defined for how yajnas are performed. Also, the ingredients and the paraphernalia have to be very pure. So in the Shastras we hear so many examples, like when Lord Ramchandra, before he appeared, Maharaj Dasharath performed a big yajna. So the paraphernalia is described, everything is made of gold, the pots are made of gold, and the offering plates are made of gold, and so on and so forth. Nowadays we cannot even perform yajnas with even steel, or have all sorts of, like, I was in a ceremony yesterday where somebody was performing a yajna, and they had aluminum foil on so that the carpet doesn't go bad. And so they had put aluminum foil. I think that's a pretty standard way people do yajna in America and other places like that. So the standard has dropped so much from like having gold to having the aluminum foil from Walmart as your place for keeping the paraphernalia. Even the ingredients are really so contaminated. You don't have like pure ingredients anymore. So the person who's performing the yajna, his motivation is something very mundane. The person who's in his home, the yajna is performed, his motivation also is fairly mundane. The people who are attending the program also are not very focused on the yajna. The ingredients are impure. So what kind of yajna you will perform if everything is so impure? So even yajnas are not really recommended in this age. In the Dwapara Yuga, which is Yuga when Lord Krishna appeared, the yajna to be performed was elaborate deity worship or temple worship. We do some deity worship so that we can get some understanding of how we can serve the Lord. But our ability to serve the deities is fairly limited. In most temples, there's no like 6 offerings that happen, and we have plastic and other kind of paper type of ornaments for the deities. Nothing is gold, nothing is jewels. So level of worship and standard has come down quite a bit. So in Kali Yuga, it's not possible to do it the way it's supposed to be done. So the only yajna that works in Kali Yuga is Sankirtan yajna. And one of the kids chanted the mantra, Harer Nama, Eva Kevalam, Kalo Nasteva, 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 Gatirannata. So in this Kali Yuga, the only yajna that works is Sankirtan, chanting of the holy name. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to inaugurate the chanting of the holy name. So Krishna thought that anybody can actually propagate the Yuga Dharma, but in order to give people the love of God, I'll have to come personally. So he came personally. That's an external reason why Mahaprabhu came. It was the Yuga Avatar's time, so he came. There's a more internal reason also. The Acharyas explained that when Krishna was here 5,000 years ago, he experienced the love that Radharani and the gopis had for him. And he was thinking that, I feel so much happiness when I see Radharani. I feel great happiness in my heart when I see Radharani. But the happiness that Radharani feels when she sees me seems to be 1,000,000 times more than the happiness that I experience when I see her. So I want to experience that happiness. I want to have that experience of that happiness of how does Radharani enjoy so much, 1,000,000 times more than when I experience with her. So in order to experience the bliss of Radharani, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came in the mood of Radharani. Krishna in the mood of Radharani. So he came as Krishna in the mood of Radharani, in the complexion of Radharani, in the molten gold complexion of Radharani. So he could experience how Radharani felt when she saw Krishna. So again, I'm not going into so much detail. The whole pastime is very detailed. And Krishna always comes with his associates. He doesn't come alone. So Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Acharya. So we chant, right? Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi. So he comes with this whole group. So Nityananda Prabhu is Balaram. Advaita Acharya, Gadadhar Pandit, Srivas Thakur, and all other associates like Sarup Damodar Goswami, Mukunda Datta, Gopinath Acharya. So all these associates of Mahaprabhu, they all come with him when he comes. Haridas Thakur, he never comes alone. So I wanted to narrate a couple of specific pastimes of the Lord, so that it's. So I'll speak about one pastime from the birth of Mahaprabhu and one pastime from his young age, and maybe one pastime from his older age. So we'll speak 3 pastimes and we'll see how it goes. So Navadvip in those days, about 50 years ago, Navadvip was considered the seat of Vedic learning in India at that time. And Navadvip is it's about 150 miles from Calcutta, and it's on the banks of the river Ganga, and very close to where the river meets the ocean, not very far from there. So there are 9 islands called Navadvip, and so that area was considered the seat of all learning, all Vedic knowledge. But there was to a point where people were so opulent they'd completely forgotten the purpose of Vedic learning. So Krishna says in the Gita that Sarvasya chaham hadisarnivishto matta smriti jnanam apohanam cha vedesya sarvam ahame vedyo. So Krishna is saying that from all the Vedas I am to be known. So any Vedic learning that we do, the understanding of pursuing Vedic knowledge is to understand Krishna. So if that is not the goal, it is just waste of time. Just waste of time. So people had gotten so ritualistic that they were ritually following a bunch of things, but not understanding that the goal of spiritual practice is to become a devotee of Krishna. So there was no mention of bhakti at all. And people were becoming very opulent and becoming just focused on their opulence, but not really focused on Krishna. So Advaita Acharya saw the pitiable condition of the people. He saw that people were so materialistic and were just focused on, becoming wealthier and acquiring more wealth and fame and prestige, and not really interested in spiritual practice at all. So he thought that the only way that they could get some benefit is if Krishna himself came to give them some spiritual practice in their life. So he prayed intensely to Krishna. And there is Shastric evidence that he had that if you worshipped Shaligram Shila is the form of Krishna in the form of a stone. So Shaligram Shila, if you worship Shaligram Shila intently by offering Shaligram Shila Ganges water and tulsi leaves, and Krishna will not be able to refuse that worship and the prayer and the pleas. So he started intensely worshipping Shaligram Shila with Ganges water and tulsi buds every day. For hours and hours he would worship intently, calling out to Krishna, please come, please come. And the cries of Advaita Acharya, they penetrated the spiritual sky, and Krishna heard. And he started sending his confidential associates to start appearing in Navadvip so that he could get ready for him to come. There was this family, Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Devi. And Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Devi were Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Mai during Krishna Leela. They were very wonderful devotees. Sachi Mata was the daughter of one of the foremost Brahmanas of that time. His name was Nilambar Chakravarti. And Nilambar Chakravarti was Gargamuni in Krishna Leela. So they had 8 children, one after the other. 8 daughters. And one after the other, all the daughters died soon after childbirth. So they were intently praying to their Shaligram Shila that they had for Krishna to come. And finally, after 8 girls, they had a boy. And he was so effulgent and so wonderful, and they called him Vishwarup. And Vishwarup was none other than the plenary expansion of Lord Balaram, Shankarshan. The Vishwarup was the older child, and after a certain time, the Lord appeared in the heart of Jagannath Mishra, and from the heart of Jagannath Mishra, he was transferred to the womb of Sachi Mata. And at that time, they could recognize that all the ecstatic symptoms of having the Lord within you appeared in Sachi Mata. And she was so effulgent. It's said that even, when a woman becomes pregnant, and most of you have experience of this, she becomes effulgent. She becomes beautiful. But what if you have the Supreme Lord in your womb? She became so effulgent. And they were extremely happy. The Supreme Lord is going to appear. And finally, on the Purnima day, the full moon day, the month of Magh, the kids said, in the Christian year, 1486, February 18th was the date. But it was the full moon day. And it is said, the Shastras say that the moon has spots. The moon has spots, right? God, that Lord Gaurachandra is appearing. It is the effulgent full moon. When the full moon of the Lord Gaurachandra is appearing, what is the need for this moon with spots to be in the sky? So he decided to cover the moon and became a full lunar eclipse that day. And in India, when there's a full lunar eclipse, people consider it somewhat inauspicious. And so they chant Krishna's name. So people were all on the banks of the Ganga, and they were chanting loudly, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Everybody was chanting the Lord's name loudly. So even before the Lord came, he had induced everybody to start chanting loudly the Lord's name. And it is said that even the Muslim population in that area, they also were chanting Krishna's name. Some of them mocking the people who were chanting the Lord's name. Some of them, for some reason, felt inclined to chant. And so pretty much the entire population was chanting Krishna's name. And finally, on the full moon day, in the full lunar eclipse, Lord Gauranga Mahaprabhu appeared from the womb of Sachi Mata. And he was born in a maternity cottage right under a neem tree. So he got the name Nimai. When Nilambar Chakravarti was his grandfather, he looked at his horoscope and he could see all the signs that he's the Supreme Lord himself. And he said he's going to be the protector, maintainer of the entire universe. So they gave him the name Vishwambar. And Nimai because he was born under a neem tree, so he gave him the name Nimai. And they give names like Nimai and so on so that he could be protected from all sorts of evil influences and so on and so forth. They gave the name Nimai to him. And that was the auspicious appearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would walk, he would have footprints, and his footprints would have all the signs of the footprints of Lord Vishnu. The thunderbolt, the flag, the fish, all that would be there on his, and he had the beautiful golden form. So that is one pastime I want to narrate. There's another pastime that I want to narrate about when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so maybe I'll ask Anil Prabhu, what other pastime I should narrate? Maybe you can say. Well, there's so many, and we have. What would you like, Prabhu? What?
Me, bro?
Yes, Prabhu.
What, bro?
What pastime you would like to hear?
Decipher, you know better what the past times.
The thousands. So.
So actually one pastime which I guess kids will also like it would be
Huh?
when he was a child and he stole the pot of here, you know, when Brahmin came and he was preparing bhoga and
Oh yeah, that pastime you want to hear?
there was a very nice pastime.
Yeah.
It interests people like especially children.
Yeah, so maybe I'll speak that pastime. So,
Interesting pastime.
excuse me. So Nimai was about a year old. And at that time, a Brahmana came to the house of Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Mata. And he had a little deity of Gopal also with him. And so Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Mata welcomed them very nicely, the proper etiquette. And then they asked him, what would you like? How can we serve? So he said, I basically, I cook myself for my deities, for my Gopal. I cook myself. And whatever I cook, I offer Gopal. And whatever prasad is there, I take. That's the only food I take. I don't eat anything else somebody else has cooked. I only cook personally for my Gopal. That's how I take. So I said, oh, that's wonderful. So they arranged for all sorts of the paraphernalia that was needed, the cooking pots and the rice and vegetable and everything else. They arranged for the Brahmana to cook. And so he took all the ingredients and he prepared, and this was sometime in the evening, like around say 5-6 o'clock, time for bhoga time. So it takes about an hour or so to make your bhoga offering. So he cooked various preparations that were available. He cooked all the vegetables and dals and rice and other things and sweet and other things, and he was ready to make the offering to his deity. So he put all the bhoga in front of the plate, put it in front of his deity, and then, like it's customary, he took a bell and started ringing the bell, ding, 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 and he closed his eyes. And he closed his eyes and he was ringing the bell and he offered his obeisances. When he got up, he saw Nimai sitting there and eating from the plate. And he's like, Krishna, my offering is spoiled. And so Jagannath Mishra came running. So what has Nimai done? He says, no, he's a child. Don't chastise him. And he doesn't know. It's okay. So it's okay. He doesn't know. Small child, 1.5 year old. What he knows. That's fine, right? So I'm not upset. It's okay. It's Krishna's desire that I should not eat any cooked food today. So bring some fruit or whatever. I'll offer that fruit and I'll take that. That's okay. Today I'll just eat that. And Jagannath Mishra was like, no. How can you come to our home and not eat cooked food? It's not acceptable for us. I know you don't eat something that we have made, so please cook again. No, it's late. It's already past bhoga time. It's late, so let's not. It is Krishna's desire that I only eat fruit today, so it's okay. I will take fruit. And Jagannath Mishra insisted, says, no, there is no way. You're a guest in our home, and how is it possible that you can not eat? No, absolutely. I'm so ashamed this happened. And so the Brahmana said, okay, I will cook again as long as you promise you will not chastise this little boy. He doesn't know, he's a small child. He's so attractive. He's attracted my heart. Don't chastise him. I will cook again. And so Jagannath Mishra told Sachi Mata and the other ladies in the house that catch hold of this boy. Make sure he comes nowhere near where the Brahmana is cooking an offering. So all the ladies said, yeah, absolutely, no way. There's no way he'll come. So they took him to another room or another area of the house and they were engaged with him. And Jagannath Mishra brought more rice and vegetables and other things and then cleaned the pots. And so the Brahmana started cooking again. And the ladies were playing with Nimai, and jumping up and down. And the Brahmana finished his cooking. He made his offering on the plate, and he put it in front of his Gopal Didi. In the meantime, Nimai was still playing with the ladies, and he was jumping up and down so much that the ladies lost track of where he was. He was running around, and before they realized, the Brahmana bent down to make the offering, closed his eyes, rang the bell, ding, 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 opened his eyes. Again, Nimai was taking the food from the plate and eating it. And the Brahmana said, Krishna, what has happened? Again my offering is spoiled. And Jagannath Mishra came running. And this is too much. And so now he was not only mad at Nimai, he was also mad at the ladies. That, how did you... I told you. He brought a stick. Brahmana said, no. Don't chastise a little boy. It's not his mistakes. I told you. Krishna's desire that I not eat cooked food today. So bring some fruit, I will offer it and I will take. Jagannath Mishra said, no. Absolutely not. You have to cook again. And the Brahmana said, it's already night, it's almost midnight. Because the whole process of cooking and offering took about 2 hours. So if he started at say 5 o'clock, the first round of offerings took him to 7:30. The second round of offerings took him to like 10 o'clock. It's like past 10 o'clock now. And say, after 10 o'clock, what do you want me to cook now? He says, no, I will not. So at that point, Vishwarup, who's older, he comes. And then he starts offering a number of Shastric reasons why he has to cook again. And so on and so forth. Again, he's Balaram, so Adi Guru, obviously he has all the logic that he can provide. And the Brahmana is finally convinced by Vishwarup's arguments, and also very enchanted by the little boy's very profound Shastric arguments. He says, okay. And Jagannath Mishra said, Nimai is already sleeping.
Oh, no, it's not.
So he's already sleeping, and all the ladies also already gone to sleep. And it's already past 10 o'clock, and especially in Shastric Vedic families, you typically don't stay up till midnight watching TV, right? Definitely Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Devi didn't watch TV at night. So, kids, what should you do? Watch TV?
No,
Right.
I don't.
Good.
I don't know.
So, and when we hear these pastimes, we also hear the lifestyle. You know? So, when a lot of devotees say that they have trouble getting up in the morning to chant their rounds, and the question is, okay, so what did you do the previous night? And then you get all sorts of answers that, no, we watch this, we do this. And so if you don't prepare for the most important activity of the day, which is getting up and chanting your rounds nicely, how will you do it, right? If you have an exam the next day, the older kids who are here, if you have an exam the next day, right? How do you prepare the previous night? Do you watch a movie till about 3 o'clock in the morning?
No.
You study and then you sleep early so that you can get up, right? It's common sense. It's not something very profound I'm teaching here, right? So if you have to get up with a fresh mind to be able to focus our energies on the Lord, how will it work if our mind is filled with garbage till late night, right? And we sleep with garbage in our head till late night and get up in the morning, and then how are we expecting to have any focus on anything? Right? So simple rules that we apply for even things like our exams, same thing we have to apply. So anyway, so all the devotees have already gone to sleep, and there was nobody there, right? And so this Brahmana, he started cooking again. And it was well past midnight by the time he finished his cooking. He was also tired. It was like, okay, now third time I'm cooking. And in this time, even Jagannath Mishra had fallen asleep. He said, okay, there's nobody in the house. Everybody's sleeping. So he takes the bhoga that he's made, puts it on the plate, and offers it to his Gopal Didi. And then bends down, rings the bell, ding, 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 closes his eyes. When he opens his eyes, what does he see?
Nimai.
Nimai, back again. I don't know how he woke up and he came and started eating from the plate. And this time, the Brahmana is like astounded, saying, "What is this? What is with this boy?" And so the little boy looks at it and says that you're keeping this plate in front of me and calling me to eat. The third time you're calling me to eat, and I'm coming. And he shows him his form as Krishna himself. He says, "You're calling me to eat. You're offering me bhoga. And you're calling me. And when I come, why are you so shocked? You're calling me." When the Brahmana realizes that this is Krishna himself, he's ecstatic. He starts weeping. The object of his worship is there. And so he offers obeisances, and Krishna, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, blesses him and then says that, you had similar experiences when I was in Nanda Maharaj's house. He had also come there and have this relationship with you since that time. And he tells him that you should not discuss this pastime with anybody. You should not tell anybody that you saw me as Krishna. And he makes him promise. The Brahmana is so ecstatic. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself. There are many, many, many instances where he talked about him being Krishna himself. The very beautiful pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Jagannath Puri. He stayed in Jagannath Puri for 18 years. Last night there was a program in his brother's home, and I was speaking on the pastime of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. It's a very beautiful pastime. I completed like 50% of that pastime. That's like a very wonderful pastime. There are other pastimes also, and there's of course thousands of them. So, does anybody have any questions or comments, or would you like to discuss anything further?
How old was Nitai?
Nityananda Prabhu was roughly 10 or 20 years older than Mahaprabhu. I don't know exactly how many years, but he was definitely much older than Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Anil Prabhu, would you like to say something?
Probably, one thing is that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was key person, in introducing bhakti, especially in those days when India was, because of dark ages in Indian history,
Right.
like in the medieval period of India, because of dark ages. So he sort of rejuvenated, in fact, of course he came here to spread Yuga Dharma, but historically, if you look at just from the historical perspective, he was a key person because he traveled all the way to Kanyakumari, and wherever he went, he introduced bhakti. One of the prominent persons he introduced was Tukaramji in Maharashtra, a lot of other.
Right.
Nanak Dev, in fact, he met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Jagannath Puri. And Nanak Dev, after being inspired, he wrote Hey Govinda, Hey Gopal, in his very famous bhajan, So, in fact, he sort of, made bhakti as a, as a prominent method actually of self-realization. Otherwise, people are confused, a lot of impersonalism and atheism. And,
Right.
a lot of other things were going on.
A lot of things were going on in the guise of Vedic. Mahaprabhu was instrumental in
Mayavadis.
revitalizing the focus on Krishna consciousness and bhakti. Yes.
What year was Nitai born?
I don't know exactly, but if Mahaprabhu was 1486, then Nityananda Prabhu would have been 1465 or 1470 in that range. Anybody else have any questions or comments would you like to make? Yes, Prabhu.
Where can we read more about Lord Chaitanya Prabhu? If there are any messages and something more about.
Yeah, so there are two principal biographies of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The one that I have in my hand is Chaitanya Bhagavat by Vrindavan Das Thakur. And the other one is Chaitanya Charitamrita by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Chaitanya Charitamrita has been translated and purported by Srila Prabhupada himself. Chaitanya Bhagavat, there are other translations. Chaitanya Bhagavat focuses more on some of the earlier pastimes, the birth and young youth pastimes. Chaitanya Charitamrita really focuses on Madhya and Antya. The Antya Leela, the last pastimes of Mahaprabhu in Jagannath Puri. So if you look at 80% of the book is after Mahaprabhu took sannyas and those kind of pastimes. Whereas Chaitanya Bhagavat focuses more on the earlier pastimes. So Mahaprabhu wrote only 8 verses. He didn't write too much. He asked his devotees and disciples to write. So the 8 verses Mahaprabhu wrote are called Sikshashtakam, or the 8 verses that teach. So maybe I can speak about 1 or 2 of those verses. It's important, it's nice to learn all those verses, but that was going to be the theme of my lecture this evening also. I have a lecture again in the evening, so we'll speak about Sikshashtakam. Chetodarpanam Arjanam Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyavadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhivardhanam Pratipadam Purnamatra Swadanam Sarvatma Stapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. So the first verse really talks about the mirror of our heart has to be cleansed by chanting of the holy name. So he emphasizes the chanting of the holy name as the most important means. So if we have to follow somebody, right, most important thing is you have to follow their teachings, their instructions. So when somebody says I'm a so and so, I'm a so and so, if you're not following the teachings, then what are you following? Are you just imitating the dress? That's the question, right? I mean, if someone says I'm Hindu, what does that mean? What are you doing? So what exactly are you following? There's no clarity. So a common understanding of Hindu means you can do whatever you want. That is the common understanding. Be very tolerant, you can do whatever you want. That doesn't mean anything. That means nothing in the real sense. What does it mean? So the understanding is Mahaprabhu's focus is chanting the holy name. By chanting the holy name, you purify your existence and also become connected with God. That is the main thing. And how you can chant, that's in the Sikshashtakam number 3. My spiritual master always emphasizes this verse also. He says, Trinadapi Sureshena, Taro Riva Sahashnina, Amanina Manadena, Kirtaniya Sadahari. So how can he constantly chant the holy name? How is given by Trinadapi Sureshena. Trina means grass. So you have to be humbler than a blade of grass. The explanation is given that if you step on a thorn, it'll probably poke through your shoes and then poke you. But if you step on a blade of grass, it just goes down. It doesn't poke you. And then after you step away, it comes back. It's humble. How much more humility you can have than a blade of grass? And Taro Riva Shushna. Taru means tree. The trees are so tolerant. They're standing outside in the cold, it's raining, it's snowing, it's hot. Still tolerant. If you go and cut off the tree, it'll still give you wood. It'll give you fruit. Right? It's so tolerant. So it says we have to be as tolerant as a tree. So if somebody provokes us, very tolerant. Very humble. And amanina manadena. So in this world, everybody's taught that you have to become powerful, rich, respectable. And if somebody disrespects you, we become angry. Because we expectation of respect. So Mahaprabhu says that have zero expectation of respect. And give all respect to others. So the mood is becoming humbler than a blade of grass, more tolerant than a tree, and make a vow that we will make spiritual advancement. Just like there's a major exam or a test or something that's coming up. The preparation that you do before the exam is critical because that's what you can reproduce in the exam, right? You cannot say, well, tomorrow's exam, I'll study next week. The exam is tomorrow, you got to study before the exam, not after the exam. Same way, we have this human birth, we cannot postpone any longer, right? That we'll do bhakti later on. Right now, I have to focus on my job and my kids and then when? Something else will come up at that point. So bhakti is something that's an integral part of your life. It's not something that you will do later on. So let's not postpone anymore. And let's take a vow that, if you're chanting, we're already chanting Krishna's names, then let's make a vow to make our rounds more focused. If you're not chanting yet, I'm sure Devendra and Trupti, they can give you beads to chant. Try to chant at least one round of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra every day. At least one. Doesn't take very long. One round chanting takes 5-6 minutes, maybe 7 minutes if you're slow. If somebody says that they don't even have 7 minutes, then all I can say is I'm very sorry for you. I can understand if somebody says I don't have 2 hours to spare. But somebody says I don't even have 7 minutes in my life, in my whole day. So then I'm going to say, all I can say is you have my condolences. If you don't have 7 minutes for working on yourself, then what do you have time for? Right? So everybody has the same number of hours in the day. It's a question of prioritization. So we should prioritize, right? Like nobody, and this is a gross example, but this is true. Nobody says, I don't have time to go to the bathroom. Does anybody say that? If you make time because it's a necessity, you cannot cut that out of your schedule, right? They have decided not to go to the bathroom because there's not time. You can't cut it out of your schedule. So it's a requirement. Similarly, chanting the holy name is a requirement for spiritual upliftment. So if you think it's a requirement, you'll make time for it. Everything else, like watching TV or reading newspaper, is all not required. Why? Because I'm telling you, people who are keen on newspapers, you read a newspaper from last year, and tell me how much different you will see in like what crimes are committed and who died, and you can pretty much like the same things, right? So trust me, not that much is happening out there that is so key for us to really keep track on a daily and hourly basis. Really nothing. I mean, other than the news channels wanting to make money through commercials or whatever, there's not that much happening out there that we really need to keep track of it on once a day, 10-15 minutes to say what's happening in the world. It's important to know. It's not, you cannot be living on an island, but there's nothing in the newspapers for us to read for 6 hours or 4 hours or whatever period of time. Those of you who watch even television, TV shows, I don't know, I don't, but I'm pretty sure they show the same news item again and again. It's not like there's so much happening, right? So I urge you to take time out. I'm not going to ask specifically, individually, how much time it will take, but please make the effort and at least chant one round of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And if you can chant one, then you can expand your spiritual practice, make it 2, 3, 4, because that's the highest benefit. That's the way you can get benefited.
I have a question, sir.
Yes.
And why Chaitanya Prabhu came and means he wants to give us a message, or what is the connectivity? For Sri Krishna, Rama, they came for one purpose, right? To the world.
Yeah. I mean, there's no one purpose, but anyway. So.
Yeah, and what about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu?
To distribute love of Godhead. So, when one of the primary disciples of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sanatana Goswami, he first met Mahaprabhu, he chanted a verse. He chanted a prayer. He says, Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratushe Namaha. So he said, Namo Mahavadanyaya. Vadanyaya means generous. I taught that verse yesterday to you guys, right? Generous. Mahavadanyaya means most generous. Why is most generous? Because he's freely distributing love of Krishna. Freely distributing love of Krishna. When Krishna came himself, 5,000 years ago, people who were loving him, he exchanged loving relationship with them. People who were inimical towards him, he killed them. The demons got killed by Krishna. And the thing is, with Krishna, with God, any association has the same result. Whether Krishna kills you or he gives you benediction, it's still a benediction. Because Krishna says, right, that he's equal to everybody. He's not like he's inimical to some people and likes some other people. Right? Samoham sarva bhuteshu. Name dvesho name priya. He says, I'm equal to everyone. No one is dear to me or my enemy. Right? That's his position. So when Mahaprabhu comes, he gives freely the love of God to everybody, indiscriminately. Whether you are qualified, not qualified, whether you are purified, not waiting for any of that. Right? So his purpose is to distribute the love of God. We have to be able to accept it. It's like he's running behind us with a plate full of laddu, saying, "This is laddu, please open your mouth." And we're saying, "No, why? Why should I open my mouth?" One of my other senior god brothers, actually Garam Prabhu, gave this example that, the other yugas, there were exams, and the cutoff marks to pass the exam was very high, like 80%, 90%, 95%. In Kali Yuga, the percentages come down quite a bit, like 30% is pass for the exam, right? And Mahaprabhu is saying that when I'm here, you don't even need to write the exam, just come and sit in the examination hall and you'll pass. And we are saying, why should I go to the examination hall? So Krishna is so merciful in the form of Mahaprabhu that he's freely distributing love of Godhead. Simply chanting the name of Krishna, following Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you will get love of Godhead. That is his mission. And why he wants us to chant the name of Krishna? Because for our own benefit, not for Krishna's benefit. Because Krishna is Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamujatite. A lot of you would have heard this verse. He's complete in himself. Infinity plus infinity is infinity. There's nothing you can add to Krishna. You cannot give him anything. You cannot take anything away from him. He's complete in himself. So his plea, he's begging us to worship him because for our own benefit. Nityananda Prabhu, he's like, there's beautiful songs that we can sing on Nityananda Prabhu. He's falling at people's feet and saying, chant Krishna's name, chant Krishna's name. The holy name of Krishna is not different from Krishna. The chanting of the holy name is the Yuga Dharma. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's purpose is to show you how you can actually become a devotee of the Lord. They explain that just because the teacher is teaching children, this is how we write A, this is how we write B, it's not like the teacher is learning how to write those alphabets themselves. But they're showing the children how to write. So that is Mahaprabhu's purpose. Mahaprabhu said, when he came as Krishna 5,000 years ago, he said, Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papepyo mokshesha vimasacha. He said that. But then people don't know how. Say, how to surrender? How do I surrender to Krishna? How do I do bhakti? So he had to come to show this is how you can do bhakti. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Prabhupada used to say that the Bhagavad Gita is the undergraduate level studies of Shastra. That's the first level of study of Shastra. Of what is spirituality? Krishna says, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. The Srimad Bhagavatam is a graduate level study, which talks about how specifically to practice bhakti. And the Chaitanya Charitamrita is the postgraduate, the PhD level study, where there's description of when you become a devotee, how we will interact, how we will react, how will we have relationship. Right? Sambandha Abhidaya Prayojan concept. And those of you who are familiar, I will not go into that, but Sambandha Gyan, Abhidaya Gyan and Prayojan Gyan, of the relationship in bhakti. Does that answer your question? Thank you.
Oh, actually, when Arjun wanted to present this shloka,
Yeah,
he was a
please.
little shy to kind of speak it out.
You can speak now?
Actually, that's why he was talking about why we should chant Krishna's name. Can you
Go on.
just try? Or you want me to help you? Go ahead. Okay. Actually, this is like a verse from the Adi Lila,
Right.
from Chaitanya Charitamrita, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is being glorified. So this is a very nice verse which explains and kind of summarizes that what is the purpose of our life and why should we chant Krishna.
Mm.
Just one little verse like to summarize everything. The verse goes like this, Krishna, Tattva Vastu Krishna, Krishna Bhakti Prema Rupa. So Tattva Vastu Krishna, Krishna Bhakti Prema Rupa, Nama Sankirtana, Saba Ananda Sarupa. So in this little verse, which is so simple, like it summarizes the whole purpose of our life and why should we chant Krishna's names. Like, it's amazing. The meaning of the verse, I'm sure it's kind of simple to understand for everybody, but Tattva Vastu Krishna. Tattva, it is explained in many ways. For different people, Tattva could be different, right? But factually, if somebody who is little thoughtful would understand that, Krishna, God, He's the purpose of our existence. He's nothing else. He's a real tattva, actually. He's real purpose, real meaning behind our existence. And Krishna Bhakti Prema Rupa. And real purpose of loving relationship is Krishna Bhakti. Everything has to be in the context of Krishna Bhakti. Nama Sankirtana, which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to spread in the whole universe. Nama Sankirtana. Saba. Saba means like entirely.
Right.
Comprehensively, Ananda Sarupa. In actual happiness, we can experience only in the context of Nam Sankirtana. Otherwise, there is no happiness in this material world. So this little verse, in fact, just summarizes that how, purpose of life is nothing but Krishna, Krishna Bhakti, and ultimately Nam Sankirtana, which is the actual meaning of happiness we have.
Thank you for sharing. We sang the little 2 lines. I didn't want to sing the whole song because people don't know. Parama Karuna Pavadu Jana Nitai Gaurachandra. So Parama Karuna, the highest mercy, comes from the 2 Nitai and Gaurachandra. Sabha Avatar Saru Shiromani, the highest of all the avatars. Shiromani, highest. Kevala Ananda Kanda, just pleasure, bliss, nothing else. It's just bliss. Gauranga Mahaprabhu is just bliss. So Mahaprabhu, I'll just end with one anecdote. So Chaitanya Charitamrita has just been published, and Prabhupada was in California. So they were selling books. They're also selling a whole bunch of other Indian sweets and so on and so forth. So one of the devotees, he had rasgulla and sandesh and other things. So he told Prabhupada that, Prabhupada, we have Bengali sweets here for people to buy and take prasad. And Prabhupada looked at Chaitanya Charitamrita and said, this is a real Bengali sweet. So it's like, Prabhupada would say that Mahaprabhu's Leela, just like Bhagavatam is like sugar candy. Wherever you buy it, sweet. So if you have a piece of sugar candy, like, can you buy it here, can you buy it here, wherever you buy it, it's sweet. Same way with Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita. Wherever you buy it, once you get into the Leela, it's like just phenomenal. So with that, I will stop. I think we can take the boga. We'll do Aarti. But take seriously the Chaitanya Charitamrita and message of Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, in daily life, when we do puja and prayers, everything, so what special prayers we can offer?
Chant holy name. That is the only thing. If you have deity of Mahaprabhu, all you need to do is raise your hands and say Haribol. That's all. That's all they need. So very merciful. You don't need any elaborate worship or anything. Chant holy name sincerely. So the only way you can worship the Lord is chant holy name. Everything else secondary.
And next time when you visit India, you must visit Mayapur Navadvip Dham. Once you go there, then your life will be changed completely. You won't be the same person again. So Mayapur Navadvip Dham is you won't get an experience in Vrindavan as much as in Mayapur Navadvip Dham. When you get to Mayapur, you can see the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu coming from all directions. It's very nice. You just have to go there once at least. Everybody has to go there.
Where is that exactly? Which state?
In Bengal.
It's close to Calcutta.
Go to Calcutta.
Close to Calcutta.
Navadvip.
No.
I heard there is a huge temple coming up there.
Yeah.
It's under construction.
It's a huge temple.
Yeah.
I think they're building the whole universe, structure of universe.
That is the main attraction.
Yeah. That temple will take another 3 years or 4 years to come. But it's already a beautiful temple. It's not like there's no temple there. It's already a very beautiful temple. This is going to be huge compared to that. Okay. Who's going to do Aarti? Huh?
Aarti वगैरह कर सकते हैं.
Devotees have the
Put a copy for Gaurav.
Kamara Vishwadigaye Sanjaya Mukunda Vishwadigaye Sanjaya Mukunda Vishwadigaye Shiva बाजे घंटा बाजे बाजे करता शिवा शंकर बाजे घंटा बाजे बाजे करता माधुरा मृदंगा बाजे रमारसाला माधुर 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 बाजे शंका बाजे घंटा बाजे 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 Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Sai Gaur, Hari Bol, Sai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Sai Gaur, Hari Bol. Bahu koti chandra kini padana ujala. Bahu koti chandra kini padana ujala. Dola deshe vanama kore jala mala deshe vanama kore jala shiva shiva shuka narada me gada gada shiva shiva shuka narada me gada gada Bhakti Vinoda Gaurara Sampada Bhakti Vinoda Gaurara Sampada Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharite Nirvishesha Shundravati Pasyatya Deshakarite Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharite Nirvishesha Shundravati Pasyatya Deshakarite Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta if we can come and offer flowers to Guranga. You can take the water to the side, otherwise all the flowers will fall in the water. The offered water.
Okay.
तीनों का मिलेगा. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare भगवान की गौर चंद्र की जय विष्णुपाद परम प्रभुराज का चक्र अष्टोत्तर श्रीमद दुर्गम देश देश भक्ति स्वामी शिव गोपाद की जय हो अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय समाचार हृदय ठाकुर की जय प्रेम से कौशिक चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त जय राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्यामकुंड राधाकुंड गिरि गोवर्धन जय ब्रजभूमि वृंदावन धाम जय जगन्नाथपुर पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र धाम की जय नवदीप महापुरी धाम की जय गंगामयी जमुनामयी की जय भक्ति देव सती तुलसी महारानी जय भक्त वृंद की जय जय गौर प्रेमान श्री बोल हरे कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण हरे श्री गुरु एंड श्री गुरु जय श्री कृष्ण जय श्री कृष्ण जय
I can have and he owes me one and you just did it.
महाप्रसादि गोविंदे नमो ब्राह्मणे वैष्णवे कल्पपुण्यव साम्राज्य विश्वासो नैव जायते शरीरा विद्याजाल जड़न्ते हेताहेका दिव्य प्रलय विदेशागरे आरामते जीवायते भगवन्मये सुधर्मति आखिर आखिर संसारे नागवटो दया होय पूरी बारे जुआ जाए महाप्रसाद ने दीनो गाय महाप्रसाद ने दीनो गाय लड्डू गोपाल जी गौरनिताई महाप्रसादम की प्रभुपाद की
This is the